morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tablelands Regional Council Ordinary Meeting for January. Can I remind everyone to turn their devices off or onto silent, please? Apologies. Do we have any apologies from councillors or officers? Could I ask everyone to be upstanding? I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we meet on today and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Could we please observe a minute's silence as a mark of respect for the members of our community who have recently passed. We wish their family and friends peace and comfort during this challenging time. Thank you. Item 6, councillors, declarations of any conflicts of interest by councillors or senior council officers. No conflicts. Thank you. Item 7, confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting of 19 December 2024. Can we have a mover that those minutes be accepted? Councillor Barty. And a seconder. Councillor Lang. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. Business arising. Actions out of the minutes of the previous meeting. Thanks, Jackie. If you can just blow that up a little bit more. I can't quite read that one. What is it, Jackie? Could you read it?
Capital. The question was on a couple of items in the capital projects.
Yep.
Email from the Executive Manager PMO office. Following yesterday's council meeting, I provide the below response to items taken on notice relating to the capital projects report. Barbecue replacement, correct percentage complete is 100% complete. Project completed and closed out. Rationalisation of street bins, correct percentage complete is 90%. All bins installed, project yet to be closed. Library resources, correct percentage complete is 60%. Continuing to purchase resources in line with funding agreement. Council Tech One system has been updated and project managers will be reminded to ensure project data is kept up to date and moving forward.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. Yeah, was that one from you, Councillor Barty?
That was me. Yeah.
Yeah. Has that answered your questions?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And the next one
is advisory committee minutes. CEO to arrange information sessions with councillors to review the TRC advisory committee policy. That's being scheduled. And the next one is regarding the extension of the provision of management services Lakeside Caravan Park. Councillor Barty asked the question, is there a way we could offer a longer extension to the current managers? That one is,
Yeah, Councillor Barty, did you get a reply to that?
I did get a reply to that, and yeah, I'll sort of follow that up and chain a bit, so, yeah, thank you.
it's still a bit ongoing.
Is that the only one?
That's it.
That's it. Any business arising from the floor today, councillors? Okay, thank you. So we'll move along there, councillors, to item 11.1. Tablelands Regional Council, reconfiguration of a lot, access easement, Lot 3 on SP 334768 and Lot 2 on RP 726-500-47 Kelly Street and 36A Cook Street, Atherton, RAL 24/0042. Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Spanos and a seconder. Councillor Barty. Councillor Spanos.
I don't have much to add to this. This has been going on for quite a while, and thankfully we're moving on with it. That's all I can say about that. I'm happy with that, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillors? Those in favour? Carried, thank you. That's 7. Item 11.2, Development Activity Report on Q2 2024/25 FY. Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew? And Councillor Hayden seconding. Councillor Cardew?
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Could I just ask the manager to give us a brief overview of this, just for the general public?
Through the chair, absolutely happy to. So the development activity report is a new initiative of the development services team to report back to council and broadcast or publish some information around development activity across the region. This is the first iteration of that report on the back of a council resolution late last year. Ultimately, what the report shows is demonstrates activity through the applications that we receive. So the development applications we receive, there's some information contained in the report in relation to housing. We know that is a hot topic at the moment, so demonstrating how that activity is tracking, and equally an opportunity to report on our development incentive as well. So you'll see those three aspects in the report. To take some insights from the information that's presented, applications still continue to be quite strong, albeit maybe down on similar comparable to last year, which is a good sign for the region. Equally, housing growth is still strong, so you will see there that there is a strong pipeline of housing delivery across the region through the approval of lots, the titling of lots, and equally the construction of housing, which is all shown in that graph. And lastly, well, sorry, not lastly, the development incentive is coming into its own now. So that has been active for a year and a bit now. Council resolved to extend that, and we've seen some significant uptake in that incentive over particularly over the last 12 months. So we appreciate, council commences with the initiative. The development industry takes some time to take that, get their approval. So we're really seeing that come through now. So we've had 3 completed developments, which are shown in the report, with another 9 eligible, which are under construction now. So that is a very good outcome for the region and shows council's commitment to facilitating the right type of development and the type of development we want to see in the region. So good news on that front. And I guess the last part of the report, which I didn't touch on, is some of the stuff that we're doing as a department to also assist and ensure that we are operating the most efficiently we can. So there's a number of initiatives that we've implemented over the last 12 months, and we'll continue to report on those too. So, yeah.
Thanks very much. Any more questions on this one? Councillor Cardew and then Councillor Barty.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. I'd just like to congratulate you and your team, Sean. I think this is a great incentive. It's working well. It's cutting red tape, which is what we wanted to see. Well done. The only other thing I just wanted to ask you, and just maybe touch on, is that the incentive policy that's attached to this, it's working okay?
Through the chair, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like I said, there was a bit of a lag, so, you know, understand. There's a time between council opening or commencing the incentive and then, you know, development industry picking it up. So there might be time, you know, for developments to get their necessary approvals, do their costings, and then actually bring that to fruition through construction. But yeah, no, we are seeing a greater uptake in that incentive, particularly over the last 12 months, which is good news. Yes. And I appreciate the comments.
Thanks, councillor Barty.
I think it's a great report too, Sean. It's awesome. My only question was, is it possible to have like a breakdown of where those developments are happening, like divisional? Is that something?
So through the chair, yeah, obviously it's the first iteration, and we're happy to take any feedback on information that you want to see in there. Absolutely, we'll take that on board. Equally, I think we're going to look at what information we have to talk to the non-residential aspects. So growth isn't just residential, it's also the economic development side of things too. So we'll look to see what data we have, but yeah, happy to have a chat about information we can present in a future iteration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, questions? 11.2, those in favour? Carried, that's 7. 11.3, Capital Projects Monthly Report, December 2024. Now we have a mover of the officer's recommendation. Councillor Barty moving and Councillor Lang seconding. Councillor Barty?
I didn't have any questions today. No.
No questions? Councillors? Did you have anything you wanted to talk to, Jodie?
Not particularly, no, if there's no questions,
Yep,
thank you.
very good. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you, that's 7. Item 11.3, Fun of Queensland Regional Organisation of Councils, minutes of the meeting of 5 December 2024. Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Bilney, and a seconder. Councillor Barty. Those in favour? Carried.
We're going to talk to this, aren't we?
Yeah, well, just moving the minutes. It's a separate thing, Kev. So, just those in favour? Thank you. Yeah, councillors, just a quick update on a couple of items here that were discussed at Rock. We did talk to Main Roads in detail about a number of roads, but specifically we asked them questions about the Palmerston Highway and their timeline on the work that's being done on the Palmerston. So they've just started their work on the Palmerston this month, and they're advising that the works will take 18 months. So they're saying it'll be the middle of 2026 before the works on the Palmerston are complete. My understanding is a lot of that is because the damage to the road was such that they've had to put in significant parts of the embankment that the road's built on in certain areas has actually gone. So they've had to engineer and design massive pylons to go down into the earth to reinstate the embankments where the roads are on. So yeah, all the after effects of Cyclone Jasper. So that was the main news. We were all pretty shocked. We were thinking, 4 months, 6 months to get the road back to its defended standard, but 18 months. So it's a big job.
Just with that, was there going to be any improvement to the road in terms of like overtaking lanes and things like that, or that wasn't discussed?
No, it wasn't discussed, but my understanding is they're just reinstating it to its original state without any additions. They didn't, I'm sure if they had additions, they would have told us. And the other main item that we discussed quite a bit was the FNQ regional plan. So this was just a free-ranging discussion, but we have approval now. We have an extension from the minister that the information can be submitted up until the 28th of February. So they've extended the time for work to be done on the regional plan. But yeah, that's not necessarily straight from the rock. That was sort of out, had become public before that rock meeting, I think. But they were the main two items that really relate to Tablelands Regional Council, was the regional plan and the Palmerston. Most of the other matters there are captured in the minutes. 11.3, Advisory Committee Minutes, December 2024. Do we have a mover?
Hang on, are we still discussing the FNQ rock one?
I wasn't, no. What, do you
I
have
have
a
questions on it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I noticed in here that there was some discussion with the ROC members about the need for the Regional Waste Management Advisory Committee, which I am on that as of a meeting or two ago. They questioned whether they want it or not, and then I see down here that they're gonna trial it and only have it for an hour after the ROC board meeting. I mean, personally, I don't want to waste my time going down there for 1 hour if they don't support it.
But you'll be able to do it by teams.
Yeah, but
You won't have to go down
Are
there.
they going to? What's their thinking behind it?
Look, I'm not sure that I can give you any more information than what's in the report there. I can't recall there being any more information. But you won't have. You can just do it by teams.
I understand that, but just from reading these minutes here, it looks like it was questioned, do they need it, and they're winding it back to a trial basis type thing. I just thought you'd be able to give us a bit more insight. That's all.
I haven't got any more insight than that.
My other one was, okay, that's fair enough. The other one is, what's the, in the minutes here, they talk about, associations with, advanced cans. Can you give us a bit of insight into that?
What page is that one, Councillor Card?
71.
Oh yeah, Advanced Cans approached the ROC about a joint delegation to Canberra. So the ROC discussed that and basically resolved that that the ROC would do its own delegation to Canberra, separate from Advanced Cans. Yeah, we felt that the ROC delegation is really focused on local government issues, whereas Advanced Cans is more is a broader sweep, and some of the local government issues get lost in the, you know, when you go in to meet with ministers, if you've got Advanced Cans and both FNQ ROC around the table, all the key messages get diluted. So the ROC's view was that we're better to do our own delegations to Canberra and keep our focus on the local government issues, rather than the broader regional economic sweep of issues that Advanced Cairns gets involved in. So yeah, that was the outcome on that one.
Okay, my other question was the water capacity plan. Yeah, is that completed or something, is it right? Or?
Yeah, we've accepted the water capacity plan. And they've got a technical committee of both rock personnel and I think some council personnel, council engineers who are on that technical committee.
Does it impact us?
I'd have to take that on notice, Councillor Kaji. Do you have any others?
No, that's all. Thank
That's
you.
it. Any other questions on the minutes? All right, that brings us to 11.5. Advisory Committee Minutes, December 2024. Councillor Kaji, moving. And Councillor Spanos. Councillor Kaji?
No, all good for me, thank you. Pretty straightforward.
Councillors? Those in favour? Carried. 7. That brings us to Infrastructure and Environment, item 12.1, Community Project Request, Malanda Gymnastics Club, minor facility upgrade. Do we have a mover? Councillor Bilney and Councillor Spanos. Councillor Bilney.
Excuse me, through the chair. Look, I've been involved with some discussions with the judo and the gymnastics group over the past 12-15 months. I'm really pleased to see the CPR process, how it's been rolled out, and it's going to be modulated over 3 or 4 steps based on funding opportunities as they present themselves. So I think that was a really good outcome. Today we're talking about some initial projects that they want to start, so I fully support the application. The request basically for expansion has been born out of burgeoning membership numbers. When I spoke to them, there was 180 or something that have now joined active members. The facility is quite old and does need some modifications to meet contemporary needs now. The young kids are loving it, so I think it's a great opportunity for empowerment of those two groups.
Thanks, Councillor Bilney. Council, does anyone else like to talk on this one? Those in favour? Carried. 7. Item 12.2, Community Project Request, Rail Trail Plannings. Do we have a mover? Councillor Bilney, and I think I saw Councillor Lang. Councillor Bilney moving, and Councillor Lang. Councillor Bilney?
Yeah, through the chair. Look, the proposed plantings will add value to the rail trail, and I commend Tora and the T4 volunteer groups for their ongoing passion and volunteerism. It's very important to note that the proposed 400 trees, where they're going to be located, will not impact on any infrastructure. It will only add visual amenity for the users around. So I completely agree with the officer's recommendation.
Thanks. Councillors? Councillor Kaji?
Yeah, thanks, mate. Look, I'm not going to support this. The plan, putting trees in the ground, I'm not against putting trees in the ground or planting trees along this corridor or the like, but it needs to be planned properly, in my view. I mean, has careful consideration been given to future? I know there's no infrastructure there at the moment because it's on the northern side of Talbot, but is there any plans for future infrastructure, water mains, sewer mains, those sorts of things? Have those things been taken into consideration? Because if we do progress with sewer and water or whatever down that way, that's where that main's got to go. And it's going to, if we've got to take out trees to do it, and we all know how hard it is and the public uproar that we get when we got to remove trees. So has that been given for future consideration in that corridor where these things are going to go? That's the first question. My second question is, they're looking for payment for funds of $4,000, but there's also in-kind contributions here, which in my mind is going to add up to, why is there no cost attached to that? Let's say we have a true indication of what the total project cost is going to be.
Would you like to take those, please?
Absolutely. Through the chair, so the plantings are contained within the rail corridor, excuse me, and TMR as the asset owner and custodian have provided support for that plantings. In relation to the budget breakdown on page 103, it's broken down for the trees, the contractor to auger holes, fertilizer, miscellaneous. So that's what they've requested as part of their community project request for budget, and that's what they're expected in the project plan.
Yes.
In relation to infrastructure through that corridor, there are currently no plans at all to put water or sewage infrastructure in that corridor. If council may recall, some time ago a report was provided to council in relation to options to sewer Tolka. I had a look at that planning report as well. That report does not foresee any sewage infrastructure in the rail trail corridor either. So I can't foresee at this point in time any council infrastructure going into the rail trail corridor at that location.
Councillor Kaji.
So if we were to put, just hypothetically, if we were to put a sewer treatment plant in that northern end somewhere, where do you think that a good corridor for a sewer main would be?
That's a very difficult question to answer, but we do have a main roads corridor there, we do have the rail trail corridor, and it all depends where a treatment plant would actually be constructed and how we transport the sewage from.
I understand that, Mark. I understand it's a hard question for you, but the way I'm looking at it is that to my knowledge, that's the only corridor following that highway that we could put a pressure main in there, or gravity main, or water main, or what have you. It's the only corridor we have, and I know it's main roads. I know it belongs to the main roads, but we're the trustee of it. If we were needed to put a main in, that would be the obvious location to put it in. So what I'm asking is that, will there be enough room between where you're going to plant the trees and still have enough room within that corridor for a possible future sewer main?
Through the chair, I'm not necessarily sure if that's the obvious corridor for future infrastructure, but should we need to put a sewer main in there, the corridor is about 30 meters wide, across its whole length. We're talking about an 8-meter planting zone between Billinger Drive and the current rail trail path. There's also room on the other side, so I'm fairly sure we would be able to find a suitable location should the sewer pressure main or any such like infrastructure had to be put in the rail trail corridor, that we can find a suitable location for that. That's the impact of
We'll go Councillor Barty and then Councillor Spanos.
That sort of answers my question. I was just going to ask that the planting is only on like the western side of the rail trail, so there would be like quite a bit of room between the rail trail and the actual road for any future. Yeah.
Councillor Spanos.
Through the chair, how accommodating would TMR be to us putting infrastructure in the rail trail corridor anyway?
Through the chair again, historically we have been able to put council infrastructure in parts of the rail trail corridor. If you strictly look at our sublease, That can be done by approval. Our sublease has an end date. There's also a wind-up clause in the sublease conditions that any infrastructure that council puts in the rail trail corridor, should we not maintain our sublease in the future, would have to be removed by council. So how likely is that? It's very unlikely in my view, but I can go on what the actual conditions in the sublease are. So with approval, we may get approval to put infrastructure in there. Our sublease is only valid, I think, to somewhere in the 2040s. What happens after that remains to be seen. I can't give any guarantees in relation to that.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks, mate. Which is what I thought.
Councillor Callaghan.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I'm still not satisfied with, I asked the question why the cost for the in-kind support from council is not included, and I don't think I've received that answer. I've got a breakdown of the costs for the $4,000, which is in the report.
So what would those in-kind contributions consist of, Shane?
A little bit of officer hours and of course their vehicles to get them to sites to assist with some of the spraying. I can calculate that and get that back and take them on notice.
Perhaps if we take that on notice, it doesn't look like it's a major expense, but we'll take that on notice. Councillor Barty.
Just with respect to the officers' hours, they would already be doing spraying and maintenance work there.
Not necessarily there, but in that area.
In that
yes,
area, yeah, so.
Yeah.
Final call, councillors. We've got a mover and seconder. Those in favour? Carried. That's 6-1. That brings us to item 12.3, Lakeside Amenities Roof Renewal, Capital Project C000691. Do we have a mover, the officer's recommendation? Councillor Barty, and a seconder. Councillor Bilney. Councillor Barty.
That this project will be going ahead, and yeah, I understand that the reports come back with those matters that are outside of council's capability to do, but it was really interesting to see this and to see that the price difference too from the contractor to the council things were, I was happy to see it, so thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Barty. Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Look, I can't express strongly enough my disappointment in this report. Why, I just cannot understand why a report needs to come back to council asking permission for an electrician to disconnect power to a project that we're going to do in-house. It's a given. If you need a specialised trade to do a project that we've approved, you just engage an electrician to disconnect the power or put up the scaffolding. Why? I just cannot understand why this report has come back to us asking for permission to get an electrician out there to disconnect the power so we can put a re-roof on this building. Do we do this when we want to change a light bulb in a building? We've got to get an electrician to turn the power on.
Councillor Cardew, that this report is in response to the alternative recommendation from the last meeting, which said that council needed to do this with our own internal resources. Well, once we did our assessment, we didn't have the internal resources to do the job. So council officers have done the right thing and have come back to us for approval because we cannot do the job without an electrical contractor and without the scaffolding. I think it's the scaffolding is the second. We haven't got those resources or capacity. So council officers have done the right thing. They've come back and said, look, we still need to get some outside contractors, and they're seeking our approval because they didn't want to contravene the previous motion. So that's, you know, you can disagree with it or you can don't like it, but you can't say it's wrong. Council officers have done the right thing.
So, Mr Mayor, if that's the case, then all of our projects that we approve in our budget that has an electrical component to it, do we have to have a report come back to council asking if we can turn the power on?
Chair, if I may, with all those other projects, we don't get a specific instruction from council to use our internal resources only to deliver those works. So this is a specific situation because we have got a very specific resolution from council made last month that limits our capability to use external resources to deliver the project. So that's the difference.
All right, thank you. I'm not going to comment anymore.
Councillors? We've got a mover and seconder. Those in favour? Carried. That's 6-1, Jack. Uh, 12.4, permanent road closure adjacent lot 851 on SP 328220. Do we have a mover? Councillor Hayden, and a seconder. Councillor Barty, Councillor Hayden.
No, I'm all fine. They've had the permit to use it for years, so.
Very good, thank you. Councillor Barty.
My only question was around the timeline of an application like this. Like it came in December 2023. Is it, like, does it usually take a year for these to go through?
So the applicant applies to Department of Resources.
Yep.
Council is one of however many other organisations that are contacted for their objection or non-objection of this. So, yeah, sometimes they do take quite some time from when the application is first made. Just depends on the complexity and how many other organisations the department feels the need to approach.
Councillors? Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. Item 12.5, TRC 2023-12, Priors Creek Development, Stage 1, restroom location switch. Mover of the officer's recommendation. Councillor Lang moving. Seconder, Councillor Spanos. Councillor Lang.
No, I've got nothing to say.
Thank you. Councillor Spanos.
Yeah, after speaking with the officers concerned with this, it made sense to make this adjustment. As much as it's going to cost, I get that, and we're looking to cut costs where we can. I just feel that this is going to be a better location for the larger toilet, just with wheelchair access, not crossing roads, that sort of thing once we're in there. So yeah, it's a shame that it wasn't picked up earlier, but I understood why that larger toilet was put at that end of the precinct. However, things have changed, and we've seen that it's better access for people with disabilities, and as well as that, we're not crossing a main road. So no, I'm okay with this. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Councillors? Councillor Cardew?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I won't be supporting it. I don't think it is okay. I think the larger toilet block on lot 1 was put there for a reason in the initial design. That was to complement the amphitheatre that's going in at another stage. So the larger toilet block would need to be at that location to service that the large numbers that would attend the amphitheatre. The fact that it's going to cost us $40,000 to transfer the small one to this site here now, I can't justify that. I'm sorry. I think it's outrageous, actually. The toilet block there now And then if you look at the report, there's no guarantees. And the reason, now let me go back. The reason they want to change the location from putting the big toilet block, moving the big toilet block from the lot 1 down to the park area and bringing the smaller toilet block to lot 1 is, if you read the report, if we sell lot 1, we'll pull that toilet block down and relocate it somewhere else if the person buying lot 1 doesn't want to keep it there. Now, to me, that is just a gross waste of money and it makes no sense whatsoever. If we're going to put a toilet block there, we can do a number of things. We can either take lot 1 off the market and just have it as a lease, have it available for lease. If somebody wants to use it, put up a coffee shop there or have whatever. Or you can take an easement out over that toilet block area so that it can't be relocated or removed. Swapping it around, just say you've got a smaller building to demolish later on, if someone buys lot 1, could happen next year, yeah, or relocate it. It's absurd. For 40,000, and it's going to cost us an extra $40,000 just to put it there, to swap it over. It doesn't make sense to me. I will not be supportive of it, I'm sorry.
Councillors? Yeah, well, look, I mean, the reasons for swapping the restrooms is more than just one reason, and there are great benefits in having the bigger facility down near the playground. In terms of access for disabled people, people can drive right up to that larger facility, and it does provide benefits. And I think by putting the smaller toilet on lot 1, all the options are still on the table. You know, there's no option that isn't on the table with that smaller toilet on that lot. So we're extremely agile by putting the smaller toilet there. We've got the bigger toilet right next to the playground instead of being closer to the amphitheatre. But keep in mind that the difference from putting the toilet on lot 1 as opposed to putting it at the playground is probably about 70 metres difference. You know, we're not talking long distances in terms of the distance from where the playground toilet would be in relation to where the amphitheatre is. So it's really a good decision, and it allows us to build the toilets within the timeline for the grant money. Councillor Billman.
Yeah, through the chair. Look, yes, whilst there might be a small amount of cost for the switch, we've got to remember this is grant funded money from the state providing the funding for these toilets. So we are still getting very good assets. Location is paramount, and I think the switch will provide that.
Have you got something new to say, Councillor Kaji?
Yeah, I do, thanks, man.
Okay. Councillor Kaji.
I totally disagree with what Councillor Billney just said. I mean, I don't care whether the money's coming from the state or our ratepayers. It's going to cost an extra $40,000. $40,000 is a lot of money.
We get a better outcome.
I don't believe we do.
Yeah, we understand.
Thank you.
Councillors, final call. Those in favour? Carried. That's 5-2. Councillor Hayden. So that brings us to Community and Corporate Services. 13.1 Financial Report December 2024. Can we have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Billney and a seconder. Councillor Barty, Councillor Billney.
Yeah, through the chair. Look, there's 2 or 3 things that I want to ask questions about, if I may. The first is just a comment in relation to the current deficit as at the end of 30th of December is just in excess of $1 million. Just would like to understand, council initiated an accelerated maintenance program driven by the fact that we had 8 or 9 months of really adverse wet weather. Conditions of our road infrastructure was severely impacted. We initiated as a council the accelerated maintenance program. I would like to understand what the financial impact of that decision was on our budget.
So if I may, through the chair, so the variance that we have at the moment is $1 million, but our position is actually 82,000 deficit for the year, so the year-to-date actual total.
Yep.
So we do have variances throughout. The variances, most of that variance is related to, as stated on page 156, is related to that wet weather and the additional works completed on roads, and then some work also both state roads and local roads. The state road component, that we do get funding for that element of work, we do get that recovered. And there's some variances also related to mostly water and wastewater, but roads is the main component of our variance reason. Apologies, can I have the other component of that question?
Yeah, okay. The second part of that question was in regards to the request for an increase in budget allocation of 54,000 to undertake the completion or the full scope of the Rocky Creek culvert crossing. My understanding, and tell me if I've got this right, it was going to be done in separable portions. When it's gone out to tender, one of the organisations has said, look, if you combine it as a whole project, we can do it for this price, which was anticipated to be much lower than if it was done separately.
Correct.
Okay, so that's my understanding from reading the,
yes.
The question that I've got, on page 151, there's a comment about under a dot point, whole project equals 189,896, including GST, which leaves a budget shortfall of 44,896, mostly made up of contingency. Now, my question is about contingency, and I know it's hard to say, identify when that may or may not be called upon, but can you give me a bit of a likelihood of what that's made up of?
So a contingency is a part of good project management. As you identify a project, normally there are things that can happen throughout the project that you don't foresee at the beginning. So part of good project management planning is to allow a contingency. So depending on the type of budget that you have, if it's a $20 million project, your contingency might be quite large to support that. It's normally a percentage of the project that you're actually completing for those variations. We often have things, we have wet weather events, we have those types of things, changes in materials or increases in costs, that those are the types of items that we have a contingency for.
Yep.
So when we develop a contingency, it's basically, it's typically a percentage of the overall budget that we have for that project. Not necessarily allocated to a thing because that's already included in the project specific budget, but it's for those things, those variations that may occur throughout the project. All going well, you never use a contingency, it's there just in case, but it's part of a good, efficient project management process.
So Eric, on the same thing of that, on 3, we endorse the capital budget increase of 54,896, yet then we come down and we have $10,000 less, right, for the contingency. Is that part of that 54,000 or is that extra?
So essentially we're utilising some of that contingency to deliver these works. The overall movement here for the total TRC capital budget is a nil movement. We're taking some money from another project that's not required and utilising it to deliver this project. And as Councillor Bilney identified, the consolidation of this project has actually delivered us savings in the longer term. So it makes sense to package this up and get it done all at once. So we're saving money across the 2 years because we don't have that separable portion, plus we're utilising funds that wouldn't otherwise be utilised this financial year. So making good use of that money.
Okay.
Councillor Hayden.
Through the chair. Erica, when this tender was put out, it was put out as one section of the Rocky Creek culvert crossing. So the person who contracted we gave them a Black Friday sale, so they were allowed to do the two. Was that asked of them or to all people who tendered for this, like to quote on the two?
Yes, it was.
So they all had the option.
Correct. So I didn't release the tender, but I can get specific details from the project
Yes.
sponsor.
Through the chair, so the tenderers had the opportunity to quote on the whole job and separable portions. We projected that the budget for the actual whole project was under, so we ran it in separable portions to prioritize the project and get done what we could this financial year and request again for next financial year. So tenders provided a quote, some provided a quote on the whole cost and the separable portions. Yeah.
Councillors, questions? Councillor Cardew?
Thanks, Mayor. Are we voting on each of these recommendations separately or as a whole?
As a whole, they've been moved as a whole.
Okay. I've got two questions, one in relation to dot point 2. Why do we need to include this place design group into a specialised service provider register when the Forest Creek design is a one-off project?
So through the chair,
Thanks.
so council has recently endorsed to deliver stage 1B for the remainder of the first stage of Price Creek. While the contractor that delivers the work, you often get requests for information in relation to the specifics of the design, or you get requests to vary parts of the design because they bump into a matter that wasn't foreseen or something like that. And because Place Design Group has conducted the design there, the most appropriate contractor to then also deal with those RFIs. And for us to engage them for those works, it's good to identify them specifically for the Price Creek project because they delivered the whole design for the whole project as a specialised supplier. So we don't need to go out to seek multiple quotes. While we know that any other submitter doesn't have the design knowledge of the original design and wouldn't be able to deliver the same outcomes for council. So that's the reason why.
Because the way I read this is that we were going to put this fellow on this group on a specialised service provider register for other works.
So, if I may, so this provider has been identified as they hold the information around this project. So it's a part of it's our ability to reduce our bureaucratic process. If we had to engage somebody, we'd have to go out to quote and go through all of our standard procurement processes. By identifying them as a specialised supplier for this particular project, that enables us to complete our procurement activities efficiently and with the people who have the knowledge, rather than going out to quote and going, well, I know 2 of the 3 suppliers we're requesting quotes from have no knowledge of our region or the project, which will cost us extra money and time. So this is enabling efficiencies, and they've been identified as a specialised supplier for the Price Creek project.
I fully support having the designer for that Price Creek project. Yes, it makes perfect sense. But I'd like to see that added amendment to that dot point 2 to include something along the lines that this is for the Price Creek precinct project only.
Through the chair, that completely aligns with the information provided in the explanation in the actual report, where it says to continue with design services, Place Design Group as placed to deliver future designs for this project and manage existing design elements supported by specialised knowledge of the region and to date. So it is specific to Price Creek, so that's fine. That's exactly what the intent is.
My next question relates to dot point 3. How can we justify taking $54,000 out of the fleet renewal project budget and throw it into the rail trail? Haven't we put enough money into this rail trail? When's it going to stop? Our fleet, I would think that our fleet renewal project would be far more important than throwing this money, this is ratepayer money, into this project. It's not funded money, it's ratepayers' money. Haven't we put enough money into this already? Our fleet is diminishing. We need, in my view, additional fleet to be able to have the capacity to do in-house projects, like fix our roads, fix our potholes, fix our drains, buy a bobcat with it. I do not support taking money out of our fleet budget to prop up a crossing for push bikes at Rocky Creek.
Through the chair, so the reason the fleet budget is under is we have the approved capital line and our projection for renewals this year. When we ran a tender last year for the patching trucks, they were expected to be built and delivered in this financial year. They will actually be delivered in next financial year. So with those unders, we have actually moved some of the asset renewals from next financial year forward to this year as best asset management practice, and within that space there is still some leftover money, and that's where the recommendation came from.
I was essentially going to say the same thing. So this isn't removing any fleet purchase, it's an underspent within the fleet budget, and utilising those funds to gain savings on another project is financially a sound decision.
Through the chair, if I could just add to that, that the project that the funds are being allocated to is a project that has already been approved by council. So it's not a new thing that's being suggested or some other idea. It's actually an approved project.
Councillor Kaji?
Yeah, fully aware of that, thank you, Acting CEO. The budget for this is 100,000 that was funded and 45,000 the council has already put in. Am I correct?
Correct, yes.
Thank you. And now we're asking for another 55,000 nearly to take it out of the fleet renewal budget. That's council's funds. And again, I would think that we would be better off spending this, buying new fleet to do works that we don't seem to be able to do ourselves in-house. Or, how about this? Or we save it and put it into the pot, because as we all know, we have got huge costs coming up with infrastructure, new sewage treatment plants, water treatment plants and the like. Just because we haven't spent it this year in one particular spot doesn't mean to say we have to spend it. You know? I want to support, and this is why I asked the original question, Mr. Mayor, if we're going to separate these items, because unless you do, I will not be voting for the adoption of the financial report with that in it.
Councillor Spanos?
Yeah, this is something that's I've been thinking about a little bit myself after having that ride through to Walkerman the other day and actually crossing where it's damaged. I think at some stage we could possibly repair that with our own resources ourselves, just enough to make it a bike trail, rather than having to spend nearly $200,000 to repair that small section under the bridge. I rode it the other day, I had to hop off my bike to then walk across, but I feel the same as Kev here. I think you know, the funds that are there, that we've got utilise those funds that we have, but asking council for more funds. And as much as I spoke with Erica about the fact that there was going to be savings in this, remembering, guys, this is a bike trail. This isn't a road that we're going to be repairing. This is a bike trail. I think there are other ways, maybe volunteers can get together and do something there themselves, I don't know. However, I won't be supporting this either. I was originally going to support it. However, yeah, just looking at that, asking for more money for the bike trail, I mean, I think we're doing enough with that at the minute, but I feel the same as Kev. I think these funds can be allocated elsewhere, and I won't be supporting it either. Thank you.
Councillors? All right, just in terms of process, so we've got an amendment up there to item 2. So would the mover mover and seconder, councillor Bilney and councillor Barty, agree to that amendment in item 2, the blue text?
Yes.
Yes? So what I suggest we do, councillors, is if councillor Bilney and Barty agree to that amendment, I'll put it to the vote now, because we've got a mover and seconder, we've got an amendment that they've accepted, and I'll put that to the vote now. So those in favour? Not carried.
This is to the Rocky Creek one, this is correct?
This is to the whole lot. The whole lot. So councillors, do we have an alternative?
Take out item 3.
Do we have to have an alternative, Valerie, or can we just move on?
So,
Might be, vote on each individual item.
Mhm.
And that
Mhm.
elements to be.
Yep.
Council can express their views about those particular items.
Yep. The acting CEO has suggested we vote on each individual items. If you could just scroll up there, Jackie, please.
Oh, sorry.
If you could just scroll up.
Yep.
So perhaps if we, could we have a mover for the first item? Councillor Barty is moving number
Hang on, I'll
1.
have to copy this down.
Do we have a seconder for item 1? Councillor Hayden seconding item 1. Okay, I think we'll just take that to the vote. So those in favour of item 1, we've got a mover and seconder. Those in favour? Carried, that's 7.
Excuse me, Jackie,
Yep.
just when you scroll up, you've got Marty Bilney, and it should be me, not
Oh, yeah, that was what I was trying to clarify with you.
Okay,
Two?
item 2. So do we have a mover and seconder for item 2? Councillor Lang, moving item 2, and Councillor Spanos. Those in favour? Carried. Did you get the movers and seconders, Jackie?
Oh, for that one, yeah, Lang and Spanos.
Yeah.
And for the number 3.
And for item 3, we have a mover, Councillor Bilney, and Councillor Barty, seconding. So we've got a mover and seconder for item 3. Those in favour? Defeated. 3, 4. Item 13.2, Quality Performance Report, Q2 2025. Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Barty, and a seconder, Councillor Spanos. Councillor Barty.
Yeah, I do have a couple of questions, just on page 165, Dawn, in that diagram one, the term counter is there twice. Can you just clarify what that might be referring to?
Yes, that was just pointed out yesterday. That graph had been amended a few times, and at some point in there, the software we used separated the counter portion, which is accurate. The percentages are accurate. If you add them, it's 12%.
It is 12, okay, yeah, that was
Yeah.
yeah.
But somehow the software separated it into two portions that counter. I don't know how that happened.
Okay, yep, all right, so this is the review, and I understand that there was, I did have another query about that on page 195, and that's been.
Yes,
so,
they
yeah.
amended
All
it.
right, okay, yep, that was it from me, thank you.
Councillors? Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. 13.3, Atherton Aero Club Inc., trustee sublease. Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation?
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question before we do?
No. We'll ask the question during the discussion.
No.
Do we have a mover? Councillor Vardy? And Councillor Spanos. Councillor Vardy?
I'm happy with Deborah's recommendation, and just thanks for sending through that lease diagram. Yeah, that makes it much easier for me to tell where things are, so thank you.
Yes,
Yeah. Councillor Cargin?
Yeah, thanks. Why are we dealing with this in open session? We've got a lease, another lease in closed session. Why are we dealing with this one in open session? All the leases that I can recall that we've done previously have been in closed session.
Through the chair, there's actually no confidential information contained in this report, including fees and charges and things, or rent that may be payable by the respective sublessee.
Councillors? Those in favour? Carried, that's 7. Okay, councillors, would you like to take a small break, or would you like to continue? What's the feeling? Continue? Yep. Yep, okay, all right. So it goes to item 14. No notices of motion, business without notice. Councillor Cargin.
Yeah, I have one. I have a couple actually, Mr. Mayor. The first one is I'd like to read a statement out that I've prepared. Just let me get it up here. Just want to note before I start, I wish to state that everything I'm about to say is my view only. I've been a councillor now for 5 years and an employee in local government for over 45 years. One of the main reasons for putting my hand up to become a councillor was to try and improve on the inefficiencies within council. Clearly, I have not achieved this. The inefficiencies, the unsatisfactory performance, budget overruns, and disregard for customer satisfaction in some areas of council is, in my view, the worst I have seen in all my years in local government. I'm tired of sitting back and listening to our mayor justifying this unsatisfactory performance, chastising councils when we try to make change to improve this, quoting that these issues are operational matters and we as councillors cannot get involved. Well, if we can't get involved to improve the way the organisation performs, who can? As councillors, we are responsible for the budget and are the caretakers of our ratepayer funds to ensure we get the best value for money right across the organisation. And at the moment, it is my view this is not happening. In recent times, there have been multiple occasions where unsatisfactory performance, budget overruns, etc. have occurred, and for me, enough is enough. I'm no longer going to sit back behind closed doors watching this unsatisfactory trend continue. From this day forth, I will publicly hold this organisation and senior staff accountable. I will expose unsatisfactory performance in open public council meetings without prejudice and within the parameters of councillors' code of conduct. This council has a lot of good staff who want to achieve and do things and serve their community well, but are being held back by bureaucracy and poor performance of others. I acknowledge this statement will not be well received by some, especially if they are the ones underperforming. However, my message is clear. If you don't like it, shape up or ship out. It is certainly not my intent to bring this council into disrepute. However, I will do whatever is necessary to change the culture of the organisation by whatever means available to me. And if it means bringing open and transparent, questioning the way council performs operationally, and bringing inefficiencies to the public arena, then so be it. Prior to writing the statement, I had considered resigning from council, but that would be the easy way out and allow the status quo to continue. We are about to get a new CEO, and I'm hoping that with a fresh look into the way council operates, change for the better will come in the very near future. Thank you.
So councillor, do you have a motion?
No, I don't have a motion. I just want to read that as a matter of business. I do have other items of business in here, Mr. Mayor, if you'd like me to continue.
Yes, so that item's done, is it?
Yes, I'm finished with my statement. The next item that I'd like to bring up is I'd like to move a motion, and it's on the board there, that officers initiate investigations into feasible options into sewerage utilities for the central business district in the Herberton Township. Very similar, it's the exact wording that was used by Councillor Lang at the previous meeting to have the same investigations done for the sewerage of Tolga and surrounding areas. So I think while we're doing one, we should also include Herberton. I believe that there's been a lot of work done by the Herberton Shire in this regard for the CBD, and if we can pick up on that now that we're looking at other areas, I think that we should be looking at Herberton as well. I put that motion forward.
Councillor Cargew's got a motion. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Spanos was first, I think.
Yeah, it's your division.
Yeah, so Councillor Cargew, you're the mover. Do you want to talk?
No, I've said, I think I've explained well enough.
Yeah. Councillor Gilling?
Through the chair, there's significant other towns in the TRC footprint that also don't have sewage. Why would we not be including them also, like Miller, Tarzali, Herbton, Kirrai? They don't have sewage. They equally would have the same argument for sewage. So if we're doing one, why aren't we doing the lot?
Councillor Cargew?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't disagree that we should be looking at them all, but obviously we've got to pick the ones that we can, that need doing now. The CBD of sewer, the CBD of Herberton, in the wet season, because of Herberton's basically built on rock, sewage effluent flows down the gutters of the main street in a really wet season because the soaking trenches can't handle the load that's put on them, especially where you've got the hotels on the top side of the street. Sewer runs down the drain, the gutter in the main street. So, and that's from seepage through the layers of rock. So, if you had to prioritise any of the towns, I would think that Herberton would be on top of the list, along with Tolga. Tolga has the potential to expand all the way north, and I think those two towns are probably the best suited. You've got the growth going ahead in Tolga, you've got this sewage problem that's been inhabited for a long, long time. Don't disagree that the other towns should be looked at as well, but in my view, Tolga and Herberton are probably the two highest priority areas that we need to focus on in this very near future.
Councillor Spanners?
I'd just like to know how we're going to fund all of this. I'm looking at this and thinking we're looking at investigating Tolga, maybe all the towns in the Shire. We've got a sewage treatment works in Atherton that's out of date. We're looking at something that's well ahead. I just noticed this morning that the Queensland government is in debt to $217 billion. Good luck getting funding out of the Queensland government at the moment. So I'm just not sure. We're looking at this as something to look at for the future, but how far ahead are we looking here, guys, honestly? But yeah, I mean, I'm happy for you to do a report on it. I just don't know how we're going to fund it.
Councillor Thornley?
Through the chair. Look, I agree with, we should be prioritising which towns should come in online first. But I think we should be looking at the whole township. And if we're going to investigate, let's do all the towns and then prioritise and then work out the funding opportunities there.
Councillor Carchi?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, one of the reasons I brought this up is that we've just started going down the path of doing a new town planning scheme, and if we're going to look at building a new town planning scheme, we need to ensure that the new town planning scheme that we end up adopting addresses these town sewage areas, because if it doesn't, it could complicate things later on.
Final call, councillors? Those in favour? Oh, that's carried, Jackie, 5-2. Yeah, Councillor Gilman.
Can I just say something? Sorry, through the chair.
No, we'll just stay to the agenda.
I have another item, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
A little while back, a week or so ago, I got an email sent through to me stating that 3 of the drainage jobs that I had raised through the CR system after the rain event last year were completed. After our pre-budget meeting on Tuesday, I went to those 3 sites and could not see any evidence that the works were complete. I sent an email back to the appropriate channels, and I got asking for an explanation. I got an email back yesterday afternoon late from the general manager stating, and this is out of the 3 jobs, I'll just highlight one, stating that the drain on E Hill Road that is supposed to be kept closed and blocked to prevent flooding to the neighbouring properties. Just to give a bit of background, that drain has been closed for a long time. Last year, just after the flood event, E Hill Road and Blue Pot Road had some work done on it by contractors, and the contractor inadvertently opened up the drain. That's okay, they made a mistake, they think they're doing the good job, so they opened up and cleaned the drain. However, when that was realised, it was brought to our attention by the property owners, and at the time we had project managers and the like there supervising those gravel reshoots, and it was said to the property owner at the time that We don't have, and this is after the machinery had already gone, we don't have the resources to come back straight away to do it, but if you wanted to fill that drain in again at your own expense, go ahead and do it because it was inadvertently cleared. The property owner went ahead and filled the drain in again. When I went back there on Tuesday, the drain was open and I couldn't see where any of the drainage work that was supposed to be done. So I asked the question. Yesterday afternoon I got an email back from the general manager stating that the drain, in fact, that the information I'd given was not correct and the drain, in fact, was not open, was not cleaned out. Jackie, you got that photo there, please?
This one?
The E Hill Road one. Okay, there's the photo. The drain's open. That was this morning. That was photo was taken this morning. I got an email from our general manager yesterday afternoon saying it wasn't. I got an email from our system saying that those jobs have been completed. It wasn't.
Through the chair, happy to respond.
Excuse me, I'm not finished yet.
Sorry, that's fine.
So my question is, you know, this is just one. I have two others, but I'm not going to go through the others today because I just want to make this point. And that's one of the reasons I read that statement out before. What's going on in this organisation? We are getting, as councillors, I am so frustrated. We are getting misinformation all the time. This is just one example. I'm lost at what we should be doing to improve this.
I'll ask the general manager.
So through the chair, the information sent late yesterday was based on the information that I got from my staff. Obviously that information was not correct. We are currently working on that side to close that drain again. My apologies. I just forwarded the information, best information that they had at the time. Maybe I should have done more to check if that was valid. However, I was confirmed at the time when I checked, when I followed up with staff, that was the case. Turned out not to be. I'm not purposely misleading council. That was the best information I had at the time. It was the incorrect information. I apologise for that. It's being rectified today.
Okay, the second part of this is that I went there this morning to confirm that the drain was in fact open. When I got there, our council crews were on site. There were 4 council staff, truck, bobcat, ready to do the work that should have been done. I went down to get the property owner to accompany me to have a look at the drain that was supposed to be not open, so that I had my information correct. When we got to the site, we pulled up and the property owner was talking to our workforce to just let them know that where they were going to clean the drain, there was cattle in the paddock. I just wanted to let them know there was cattle in there. The four staff that were there to do the job didn't know which drain to clean. They had no idea what they were there to do. Didn't know which drain to clean. The property owner had to fill them in on which drain to clean. Now, over 12 months ago, there was staff there from our manager, supervisors, coordinators, I don't know how many others. There was at least 6 council staff there looking at this, procrastinating on how we're going to do it or whether we're not going to do it. This morning they get there and our poor guys on the ground didn't know what to do, had to be told which drain to clean by the property owner. Where is all our managers, supervisors, coordinators, project managers? Why couldn't someone go out there and tell these poor buggers what they had to do? And you can understand my frustration something has to happen, Mr Mayor, and that's the reason I read that statement out.
Do you have a motion, councillor Carter?
No, I just wanted to highlight that. And bring everybody up to speed with what, and that's just one, there's multiple more. I won't go into at this point in time. Happy to discuss it with anybody else who wants to know about the others. Thank you.
Is that it, councillor Carter?
Thank you, that's all I have.
Do you have a notice of motion, councillors?
No, I just was going to ask David something. That's all. David, see him there. Have you got a response to that, David, at all?
In relation as to why the crew didn't know which train, no.
Correct, that's what I'm asking, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know why they didn't know, but I will be investigating that to talk
Yeah,
to
that
police.
was all my question. You're sitting there, mate, it's easy enough to just ask you that question, David. I think that's a pretty genuine ask, you know, why they didn't know what they were meant to do. That's fairly important.
Through the chair, my general practice would be that their foreman, when they send them to the site, gives them instructions and about the work. So it would be highly unusual for them not to go to site with all their equipment and they've got no idea.
It surprises me as well. I mean,
But
just listening to that. Yeah.
without actually talking to the staff involved and confirming what is actually being said and what they actually were instructed or not.
Yeah.
We can't really.
And that's why I asked David, I
So,
just
yeah.
assumed that he would know more about it.
Yeah.
Councillors, do we have any more business without notice? So that brings us to our confidential session. Could we have a mover and seconder to go into confidential? Councillor Lang is moving and Councillor Spanos is seconding. Those in favour? Carried. Okay, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
That's going to be a concern as we street.
That brings us back to item 16.1. Rate debt recovery. Rate debt recovery, sale of land. Rate debt recovery, sale of land. That council, the recommendation is that council resolves A, pursuant to regulation 142, 140 brackets 2 of the local government regulation 2012 Queensland, to sell the land described in Schedule A of this resolution for reason of the non-payment of overdue rates and charges which have been outstanding for more than 3 years. So do I have to read all those here? The table?
It forms part of the resolution, but I think if you read assessment numbers, just read the assessment numbers.
So Schedule A, the assessment numbers are 27101, 30435, 33694, 33813, 34995, 35912, and finally 39959. B, to delegate to the Chief Executive Officer its powers to take all further and necessary action pursuant to Chapter 4, Part 12, Division 3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 Queensland to effect the sale of the land described in Schedule A of this resolution, including, for the avoidance of doubt, the power to end the sale procedures pursuant to Regulation 141 brackets 3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 Queensland. And C, to delegate to the Chief Executive Officer its power to take all further and necessary action to write off any remaining debt to enable properties sold by the sale of land process to be free of all encumbrances on transfer of title as per section 145 brackets 4 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 Queensland. Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Lang and Councillor Spanos. Those in favour? Carried. That's it. Item 16.2, trustee lease RFSQ Marine Division. The officer's recommendation that council resolves to 1. Apply the exemption under section 236 brackets 1 brackets B brackets I of the Local Government Regulation 2012 to dispose of an interest valuable non-current asset other than by tender or auction if the valuable non-current asset is disposed of to a government agency. 2. Enter into a trustee sublease over Lot 1 SP 333822 RES 2123 in favour of Rural Fire Services Queensland Marine Division to facilitate the continued operation of a dedicated depot for the purposes of bushfire mitigation. And 3, delegate the power to the Chief Executive Officer under section 257 brackets 1 brackets B of the Local Government Act 2009 to negotiate and finalise the trustee sublease and do all things and sign all documents to give effect to this resolution. Do we have a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Barty and Councillor Spanos. Those in favour? Okay, item 16.3, TRC Library Service Review, that council resolves to 1. Receive and note the TRC Library Service Review Report. 2. Assess the impact on effective council staff of the proposed recommendations as reflected in the body of the report and manage in accordance with council's certified agreement process and industrial relations provisions. And 3, conduct community engagement in parallel with staff engagement to inform community of the proposed recommendations. So do we have a mover of those 3 recommendations? Councillor Lang is moving and Councillor Spanos. Those in favour? Carried. Further, that council resolves to 4. Endorse the proposed TRC Library Service recommendations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the purpose of staff and community engagement. And 5, delegate to the Chief Executive Officer the authority to do all things necessary to implement the adopted library service review recommendations following the conclusion of staff and community engagement. Do we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? And a seconder? Councillor Lang and Councillor Spanos. Those in favour? That's carried. 4, 3. Did you get those, Jackie? Very good. Okay, that brings us to item 16.4. Social housing, extension of management agreement. The officer's recommendation is that council, 1, in accordance with section 235B of the Local Government Regulation 2012 and clause 2A of the Housing Management Agreement between Tablelands Regional Council and Tablelands Community Housing Association Incorporated, extend the term of the current housing management agreement to manage TRC social housing tenancies, maintenance and reporting for a further 12 months to 31 March 2026 without first inviting quotes or tenders due to the specialised nature of the services. And 2, delegate to the power of the Chief Executive Officer to negotiate, finalise and execute the deed of variation to the housing management agreement. Do we have a mover and seconder? Councillor Barty and Councillor Hayden. Those in favour? Carried. That's 7-8. Thank you. And that's the last item. Thanks, councillors. There being no further business, I declare the meeting closed.